my beautiful plant. Okay, looks like I am live. Ooh, this is going to be a conversation on unique challenges that spiritual women in business face on a regular basis. And I wanted to give this a voice. So let more people join. It is a rainy day. In California, we have a rainstorm. And I actually enjoy it. It's very meditative, very peaceful. So brings up a lot of contemplation in me. So if you're gonna watch this live stream as a replay, or if you're gonna join me live, my name is Katerina Satori. I teach online, I mentor, and I lead transformational events. And I walk the path of an entrepreneur, of having my own business and being on the path of leadership. So what I'm going to share with you in this live stream comes from the depths of experience and comes from navigating life and navigating different chapters of entrepreneurship. The highs and the valleys, the peaks and the descents, and all of it. And I was contemplating on what can I share on this topic that can be validating for my fellow women in business, that can be encouraging, and that can also be very practical. And I'll start with the very first idea. Why women come to business. If you just joined, we're just warming up. Welcome, beloveds. I'll start with the first idea, why women are drawn to having their own business. And the number one reason is freedom. We want to be free. We want to have a life on our terms, right? That's the number one reason why women are taking the world of business by the storm, by the horns, whatever metaphor you want to use. We are living in a very unique time where there's more women in business that have online businesses, that there's more female entrepreneurs right now than male entrepreneurs, and this is the number that will keep growing, right? So I came to this path because I saw a new kind of future. I saw a future where I could do what I love and live a life that brings me joy and brings me freedom. And I came to this country 20 years ago from Russia for number one reason, because I did not feel free. I did not feel free in a society that had very, very deep patriarchal beliefs, meaning women were not seen equal or just as capable as men, right? And opportunities were not available for women in the country where I was, or there were many, many blocks to overcome. So I saw that even as a young girl. I saw that and I said, if I stay in this country, I will not be able to unfold my potential. So 20 years later, here I am, and walking this path of being a creator, of taking my ideas, taking my knowledge, taking my experience, and turning it into products and services and leading and inspiring people, right? So if you're right there, if you're my fellow entrepreneur, if you're my fellow leader, then I would not be surprised if this was as well, your driving motivation, because you wanted freedom, you wanted to be free. And that's usually why we step on this path. And what is rarely addressed is the unique challenges that meet a female leader or a conscious female entrepreneur or business owner on this path. And I prepared a few of them here to list in an order and also to offer you inspiration and solution. I don't know who's here with me. Hi, Rachel. Good to see you. Yeah. So the unique challenges, I would say, a lot of them are emotional challenges. And we get to, first of all, acknowledge that as women, we are impacted by business challenges differently than men. Men have their own challenges, and they have a lot of different live streams and different conversations on that topic. My community is 80% women, 80% female entrepreneurs. So it was just a matter of time where I said, I want to do this talk, this contemplation on the impact of having your own business and being in charge of your own company and all the demands and expectations that come with it. How does that has an impact on your emotional well-being, on your vitality and longevity, and your ability to cultivate this presence and calm and strength, right, under different circumstances. Because one of the things about entrepreneurship is when you become an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you immediately sign up for a non-ordinary life, right? You step on the path that you create by walking it. So there is, it's a very intuitive path. You intuit the direction of where your soul is taking you, right? That's why the business plan for spiritual businesswoman is not an effective strategy for us to have a certain business plan, because the more you are led by spirit and by your intuition, by your deep alchemical feminine wisdom, the more you are guided by the flow of life, by the great intelligence of life. And if your business is a container that supports your divine mission, right? You stepped on this path because you have a calling, right? And business becomes a container for that calling. Then the calling is what guides you. Your divine mission is what guides you and informs your steps and informs your creations, right? The way that I look at this path is that for me, my business will never be a machine. For me, my business is a living entity. It's actually a living organism or a living ecosystem that I tend to. And it's also a co-creative partnership. It's a partnership where I receive information and inspiration from this entity, spiritual entity that's called my business. And we are working together, the soul of my mission, of my business, on these soul planes, and then me on the physical. And it's a very intimate dance that requires listening, that requires trust, that requires faith, right? So the emotional pressures of this path is that because spiritual women, spiritual business women are usually empathic women. They're givers, right? And they will often put the well-being of people in front of, this concept of profit or business margins or anything like that. When you are an empathic woman, you will naturally incline to put the well-being of people in front, and that has a certain consequences and the pressures. You are making decisions as a spiritual businesswoman. You're making different decisions. It's not just the end goal, it's not just the revenue, it's not just the profit for you. It's also relationship, it's also community, it's also creativity that comes from the depths of your soul, right? So you have different value system, you have a different navigation system, you have a different way that you receive your inspiration. And I would say the biggest challenge of this path is when we expect ourselves to produce as a machine, or to always be on, or to always have the answers, or to always be able to decide decisively and quickly, right? As a feminine being, you have a different operating system. And sometimes your decision process can take quite a long time. And sometimes you will shift between clarity and confusion and clarity. And in those times, it's very challenging to cultivate patience and to see the wisdom in not knowing, to see the wisdom in uncertainty. Your path or your business or the demands of your lifestyle will feel like a pressure to make a decision, just to pick a side, right? Or to move forward. And that can affect your sleep, that can affect your sense of peace, that can affect your ability to see the path clearly. And so, this is the main pressure that I see for female business owners and business entrepreneurs who are connected to spirit. There's this expectation for you to always be decisive, to always deliver, to always know the way, to always have a vision, to always be available for others. You also have a unique pressures on this path. You meet with, much bigger emotional demand on your time and on your attention. Not only the demand comes from the path, from your business, you also have a demand on your personal life. So that emotional demand on your time and your attention eventually feels like heavy stress. Feels like no matter how hard you work and how much time you give, there is always more to do. There is always more to give. There is always more people to support, right? And that's what I am addressing here. This quite different emotional load that you will be carrying as a spiritual business owner, an entrepreneur, and a leader. And it's sort of expected from you. Now, there is a solution, there is an insight that I'll offer to you, right, from what I am seeing of how to, of course, strengthen the boundaries, seek support, seek a network of other women who can really emphasize and understand this path. But I would say the very first thing is we need to acknowledge that yes, the future of this planet will be, um, you know, it's I would say the future of our planet and the future of the direction of humanity lays in the service of women, in the leadership of women, where more women come together as a council of wise women, where more women say, I am not going to wait for permission to lead. I am going to lead in my own unique way. I'm going to gather people. I'm going to establish a beat of community. I'm going to embody the values of femininity, right? And to me, that's the essence of the feminine leadership, where you as a leader choose to bring harmony, choose to stand up for something that you believe, choose to offer your gifts into the world. And more and more women are walking this path. And more women are finding incredibly challenging times, because a lot of times they will assume these paradigms that don't really work for the feminine being, right? So I don't know who's here with me, but thank you so much for joining and listening. And I would say the first one, the very first one, is to know the cyclic nature of the feminine self. One of the big advantages, I would say, for a female business owners and leaders, is that we have an immense capacity for a rebirth. We have this powerful biological mechanism of regeneration, that no matter how deep we're going into the descent, into uncertainty, into a breakdown, a lot of times, you are leading your business, you are leading your movement that you believe in, and you are being taken into the storm of life. And everything goes in a completely new way, and you're being invited to dance in the chaos of the elements, in the chaos of life. And what's so powerful is this incredible instinctual ability of a woman to navigate the chaos, to navigate that uncertainty, to believe in her vision, to believe in her, own guidance. And in order to do that, I have found, in order for me to be, that dancing with the chaos of life, or dancing with the mystery of life, or surrendering to this grand reorientation of life, I need to be emotionally strong in order to do that. And what contributes to that emotional strength? Well, for me, identified several things. And the very first one, people say, how do you maintain peace under immense pressure? How do you maintain clarity where things just feels like you're being put through the ring of fire, where it feels like the rug is being pulled from under your feet? How do you maintain that clarity, that calm, that sense of vision, the sense of trust in yourself, right? And I brought a few kind of pillars of emotional resilience that I wanted to share with you today. And the first one is, spirituality is at the core of my life. This vibrant, intimate, spiritual pulse that never stops beating. And to me, it looks like I practice these rituals that help me anchor my consciousness in these archetypal realms. I don't lose the connection with the larger reality of life. And what helps me not to lose that connection is to live this very ritualistic life. So in the morning, there is a particular process that is happening. Before I start the day, I honor the spirits of the land that I live in, the powerful spirit guides that guide my life, the mother of all life that is beating my heart, right? So spirituality for me is that pulse, right? The pulse of truth, the pulse of love, the pulse of life itself. And that is at the core of my leadership, my business, my life. And it's authentic spiritual practice, meaning I show up for the practice, whether I feel tired or whether I feel ecstatically connected to every single part of the reality, right? Doesn't matter what's going on within, simply show up to my devotional altar. I show up and I have a conversation. I show up and I have a conversation with that field of intelligence around me. And that creates a very deep contact with the universe, with the larger reality of life. And when you're going through something abrupt shifting in your business, right, where your human self begins to panic, begins to worry, like lose sleep, you can connect to this larger reality through the process of ritual, through the process of that spiritual practice, whether it's meditation, chanting until you clear your mind, until the joy returns, right? But spirituality is at the core, that practice, that ritual. Then the second one is creativity. I find that creativity is a very crucial practice. Again, it's also a practice to continue develop the intuitive nature, because creativity is all about the right side of the brain, right? And the right side of the brain sees the whole picture. The right side of the brain is the side that receives these flashes of genius, flashes of imagination, flashes of inspiration. That all comes from our intuitive side. That doesn't come from the linear, logical side. So whenever we engage in some form of creativity as an ongoing practice, we strengthen that ability, that intuitive wisdom that is actually what gives strength to feminine leadership. Because it's even when you're going through a challenging times where there's a lot of uncertainty in your life, in your business, there's this intuitive compass that is guiding you to connect with somebody, or to go to that meeting, or to simply go somewhere, right? So you are guided to the path of synchronicity, where lays the solution to the challenge that you're facing right now. But the way that you're being guided is through your intuition, is through this intuitive self that can see and hold the big picture. The linear practical self is very needed, but it doesn't see the full picture. It can only see the past and anticipate the future based on the past. So the creativity, right? I often, like right now, I have this journal. I have an art journal. You can see that is a very unique journal where I draw and I color, and I basically just allow my mind, my intuitive mind, to move on the page the way that it wants. And creativity is also a way of nourishment. It's like a soul care, right? It's a way that you nourish your soul. So engaging in any kind of a creative practice, whether it's painting or doodling or sculpting or sewing or knitting, anything, making puzzles, that takes you out of the thinking mind and strategic mind and even visioning, visioning where do you want to take your company, where do you want to take your business, what's your next plan of action for the next month. Even giving yourself a pause from that and engaging in creativity to nourish your intuitive side, because your intuitive side is the side that can see the big picture and literally download the vision for the next step. So I often, I have this conversation with my friends in my community that how I receive the headlines, the whole program, ideas for what I bring to my community, to my business, I simply receive it as a download. And in the morning, for example, today I woke up and I just start receiving a stream of information of what wants to come through next, right? And it comes through an intuitive side. And it's being able to cultivate enough spaciousness in your mind and your life and your soul and your heart that your intuitive side has that, this receptivity for these divine downloads, quantum downloads, right? Then the psychic of nature. I I said that a little bit, that us as women, we have immense capacity for rebirth, and provided we embrace the cycles of life and we learn how to go through the process of death. Because when you are a creative entrepreneur, you lead your own business, you are a spiritual woman in business, it's only a matter of time where you will be taken into the void, into your own version of death and rebirth. An old identity, an old idea, an old project, and sometimes several of them will be asked of you to be released, right? And something that you put a lot of time and effort to build and to create, there's going to be a point in your journey where it's not going to resonate at all. And it's very scary sometimes to let something that you've birthed and you created, to let it go and to be in the gap and to trust that a rebirth is on the other side, right? But one thing that I can share with you, from supporting a lot of women through going through these very difficult initiations, when you go through a process of death of the old identity, it is never easy. It's going to challenge all of your core wounds. You're going to feel not supported. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel like this is the burden that is really hard to carry. And why? What did you do to deserve this initiation, right? All of these thoughts. No matter how many times you're going to go through the cycles of disintegration of the old to create space for the new, is not easy. You learn to recognize the cycles and you learn to welcome them. You learn to trust these processes more and more and more, but it doesn't make them emotionally easy. They are emotionally demanding, emotionally, energetically demanding. They will stretch you, right? So when you go through a process of this entrepreneurial death or a death of your identity, right? Maybe you are learning, you are given a curriculum of a new kind of power. You are learning what it truly means to be in a feminine power. And the only version of power that you've known before is the power of action, or the power of assertion, or the power of, leading through your young nature, leading through your masculine. And you yearn to discover the power of the feminine, the power of letting go, the power of radical trust, the power of not knowing, the power of living and leading and listening. But to make that transition, you get to embrace the gap. And what always supports me is this deep confidence in the man's capacity for a rebirth of a female soul, right? We are cyclic in nature, and this is why I wanted to make this live stream specifically for women, because I am in a woman's body. We have these cycles, and the more we begin to trust our own cycle, there's going to be a season of creation, there's a season of cultivation, there's going to be a season of destruction. And a lot of us have not been initiated by the older, wiser, elder women about the wisdom of destruction, the wisdom of death, the wisdom of letting go, right? So we find ourselves in the dark in that experience, grappling for certainty, looking for comfort, right? And asking what is wrong with us. And what I'm here to name is that the more we begin to learn from the cycles of our life, from the cycles of our body, from the cycles of our businesses, there's going to be a cycle of clarity in your business. It can be a cycle of confusion. There's going to be a cycle of expansion. There are cycles of contraction. And every single phase of that cycle will invite you to become a new woman, will invite you to become a new kind of leader, will invite you to dive deep into what it truly means to lead from the heart. And in those cycles, when you're going through those cycles where you unlock and uncover this immense capacity of rebirth that comes straight from your soul, who is here with me, you know what's really, really helpful and valuable? To have somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can share your heart, share what you are holding, share what you're carrying. Yesterday, I was with my group of teachers leading a frequency shift certification program, and it's such a joy to my heart to support these amazing women. And I was sharing about, these challenging experiences that come on the path of leadership, on the path of public leadership. And I've been in deep contemplation of the purpose of challenge, because every challenge has a deep purpose, right? And when I contemplate on the purpose of challenge, a gift of challenge is an opportunity to awaken our heart intelligence. Even the challenge that seems like it's taking you to your knees, where you feel completely alone, where you feel, oh my God, I don't feel really supported in that. Even in that crucial moment, you have a choice. You have a choice to close your heart and to contract and to make a new kind of meaning that life is unfair, that leadership is hard, and maybe you're not cut out for this path. Or in that moment of being challenged into a new understanding of your strength. And you can say to yourself, I am choosing a path of radical openness. This is emotionally hard. I feel alone. My mind tells me that I am not supported, and why do I face the situation alone again, right? But I am going to give it a new meaning. I'm going to assign this challenge a new meaning. I'm going to receive this challenge with a new level of openness. I'm going to assign this challenge a new meaning. This challenge is training me how to lead from the heart. And the moment I began to see challenges like that, the moment I began to expand my emotional resilience. And the sign of a truly emotionally resilient leader is this quiet inner strength that they don't even need to talk about it. You sense it by being around them, right? This quiet inner strength that is really magnetic. And when you're around them, you begin to slowly, slowly, slowly relax and come into this deeper, deeper, deeper calm, because their energy is a calm lake. So even if you're in a world as a turbulent waters, by being around somebody who holds the vibration of calm lake, you're going to calibrate to their calmness, right? That's the law of resonance. But it all begins in order for us to activate this vibration of I am a spiritual, conscious, impact driven woman who leads my business, who leads my community, who leads my movement. Because I know I've been waiting for this lifetime. Because I know this is the age for female entrepreneurs. And I've been born for this. My soul chose this society, this time in history, these opportunities, and with every opportunity, I also chose a particular bundle of challenges. And now I'm going to give my challenge a new meaning. I'm going to look at my challenges through new, fresh eyes. Instead of feeling like a challenge punches me in the stomach, even though sometimes it feels like that, I'm going to see it as like this wave of radical invitation to open my heart and to find immense capacity for rebirth that is a quality of my feminine soul. So yesterday at the teacher's training that I lead right now, I planted a seed with my group that every single woman leader gets to have a confidant. We get to love ourselves and believe in our leadership so much that we literally invest into a confidant who is a part of our team, who is a part of our leadership, who can offer you a benevolent field of empathic listening. With somebody, you don't have to play a role, you don't have to, hold a mask, you don't have to be proper, you can be yourself. Whether you find somebody like that online or in person, as long as you decide that that is a pillar of your emotional resilience. And what I'm seeing, it's not just a talk therapy. It's not just a place that you're just talking, right? It's not that. When you express your truth of what it truly takes to walk a path of a feminine leadership, you move the energy, right? You move the energy. You give a voice to deeper layers of you. You bring it up, you bring it up, you bring it up, and you let it be witnessed and expressed. And then when you share, you express, you move the energy, you create space for your intuitive side to download new solutions, to bring new fresh of the wind, right? And I guarantee you, you will immediately feel the difference. Because we are energetic, intuitive beings. And you unpack what you're carrying, you immediately create room for new solutions. The big, the damaging collective program that is running around is that you need to hold it all within. And there is a beauty in Stoicism, right? As a philosophy, I resonate with that. I feel Stoicism helped me a lot to become the woman that I came here to be. But there is a balance to that. A true strength is a balance of vulnerability and resilience. And when we're able to be vulnerable with our community, with each other, and to say, you know what? There is a big emotional demand every single day on me as a leader. There is a double emotional demand on you as a leader. I can guarantee you there is somebody in your inbox, somebody in your messages who is wanting your support right now, right? So really acknowledging that and knowing that you need a soul care, I need a soul care. And putting ourselves at the center of our own leadership, knowing that what do I require? I want to have honest conversations. I want to have vulnerable conversations. I want time to engage with my creativity. I want to learn about my cyclic nature. I want to trust the wisdom of death and rebirth. I want to trust the gap. I want to trust that on those days where I don't feel inspired to lead or to share or to teach or to be a visionary, those days have a right to exist. Those days are my days of stillness, are my days of being human, right? And if I allow them to move through me, I begin to see them as an opportunities of regeneration. Those are great experience of regeneration that given to me by the wisdom of life with my own body. What a gift it is to be an emotional being. To be an emotionally connected leader is literally our only hope for a new kind of leadership. A leader who cares, a leader who feels, a leader who notices the pain and the suffering and uncertainty and real challenge that other people are struggling. And in order for us as leaders to have the capacity to feel deeper, to feel multidimensionally, we get to accept the cycles of melancholy, the cycles of descents, the cycles of inertia, the cycles of disorientation, the cycles of inability to make a decision, and the cycles of I am going to sit in this discomfort, and I am so glad I have a confidant. I'm so glad I have somebody to talk to. I'm so glad I don't need to hold it all by myself, right? So I'm with you on this topic. I brought something else. I saw a graph. I wonder if you can see it. I saw a graph online, and this is a new infinity for feminine leadership. Vulnerability, resilience. The more vulnerable we are with each other, the more resilient we become. The more resilient we become, the more vulnerable we're willing to become. And I want you to know, my dear friends, that I often feel like I am jumping through the rings of fire, right? And it's, when I learned about astrology, I study astrology deeply. And astrology to me is the transpersonal psychology, is a language of the communication of the planets. And I was really fascinated by the presence of Pluto in my chart. So I'm a Leo sun, Leo moon, and this huge presence of Pluto in my first house. And Pluto brings death and rebirth. Pluto brings change. Pluto brings transformation. And there were 3 times in my life where I had to start my life over. And coming to this country, then going through divorce, that was very, very challenging. I came to US with nothing to my name. Started from being a janitor, being a housekeeper. That was my beginning in this country. So starting completely from scratch at the age of 24. And then I went through a deep initiation of divorce that also I had to start everything from scratch. And then there was another start after a deep dark night of the soul when I was in the grips of darkness and addiction and complete loss of clarity of my path, right? But each that chapter felt like a huge phoenix moment where everything I thought I knew and had to go through a complete disintegration. And this is how I can speak to you right now about this immense capacity of a female soul for a rebirth. To tap into this deep intuitive waters of your soul and to believe in your ability to receive inspiration, to receive the guidance, to offer your gifts, to keep going, because the path that you are walking is not your path alone. It's you and the soul of your mission. It's you and the soul of your leadership, right? It's a co-creative partnership. So I wanted to share that with you to, first of all, encourage all of us not to compare ourselves to anybody else. Every single one of us has a unique rhythm, a unique pulse, a unique geometry of life. You know, it's futile to try to replicate somebody else's success, somebody else's blueprint. It's impossible. You know, this is where we trip ourselves up and we feel inadequate, or feel like it's taken us so long, or why, you know, I put 10 years into this path and I'm still being faced with challenges. The first thing about authentic empowerment is to let go of comparing the script of your life to anybody else's path. And to say, you know, I have this unique direction, unique lessons, unique geometry, unique calling, unique pace, unique vision. Let me find other people on the path. Let me have these authentic, courageous, vulnerable conversations. Let me also let go of expectations of myself, that I always get to know the way, always be inspired, always make decisions fast, and always never doubt them. That is an impossible expectation. You know, the moment I made peace with the fact of this path, that I will fall and I will get up, I will fall and I will get up, and I will have clarity and I will have confusion, and I will have a crystal sense of confidence, and I will have immense self-doubt. And through it all, those resilience pillars that I've named, you know, my deep spiritual pulse of practice, my creativity, an emotional confidant in my life with whom I don't need to hold anything, but to really reveal my heart. And the community of other women who are on the same path together with me. Then I am able to source this deep strength to continue creating my life as art, to continue showing up and serve and lead with this feminine-centered values, which is authenticity, truth, transparency, compassion, right? Love, trust, faith, connection, creativity. Yeah, that is what I wanted to share. Just looking at my notes, because all of that that wanted to come through is, my intention was to acknowledge and validate female leaders, spiritual female leaders. I wanted to acknowledge and validate every single one of you who is choosing to not wait for anybody, to not wait, but to create with your light, with your love, with your vision, with your contribution. And to name these unique emotional, psychological pressures that await you on this path, and how disorienting and how lonely it can feel sometimes. No matter whatever level of success or the level of impact or the level of experience you're going to arrive to, you will still meet emotional, energetic leadership pressures and demands. And this is why it's so important to build up your reserves and to say, what is the key to my emotional resilience? What is the key? And I've named a few of them. And one of them was creativity, having a confidant, somebody you can reveal your soul and move your energy, learning to practice energetic healing. Right? I'm so excited to teach more and more energetic healing modalities, and specifically for leaders on the path of leadership, because we get to learn how to protect ourselves, how to psychically and energetically and emotionally, how to let go. A lot of times it's very challenging for emotional being to let go. We go over things in our head again and again and again. What could I have done differently? What could I have said differently? Right? And it might be really challenging to let go. So have somebody in your life who can take you through an energy healing process, right? To support you in that. And having a community, really seeking a community of other female entrepreneurs, whether it is in the form of women's circles or online circles or spiritual retreats, or being around mentors that you resonate, whatever that is. There's this power of connecting to a sisterhood, right? It's like this web of feminine connection in your life that supports you and uplifts your spirit and connects you. Well, this was a deep dive. I really loved being here with you. I wanted to give that a voice because, as I shared in the beginning, there's going to be more and more and more and more women entrepreneurs on the front lines, spiritual business women on the front lines, carrying the torch, carrying the flame of the wisdom of a new kind of way of living, of a new way of meeting and dancing with life, right? And when we acknowledge and validate each other that this path can be emotionally, energetically demanding, and our bodies are not a machine. We are going through different cycles in 1 month, right? There's going to be a cycle in a month where you will have a different perspective on your skills, on your gifts, on your capacities, right? So knowing your cyclic nature and working with that is another way you build emotional resilience. So if I can be of service to you, if you watch this video and you'd like to connect and to learn about my events, I host different events. I have an event coming up in the beginning of this month, in the beginning of March, and at the end of March. And at the end of March is going to be an event for female entrepreneurs. And if you'd like to be a part of it or learn about it, you can private message me. And if you are seeking support in this kind of a conversation and this work, I also work with people one-on-one, providing emotional resilience training, spiritual, energetic healing support to leaders. And if you're a female leader and if you're looking for that kind of a guidance and support, my virtual door is open for you. Just send me a private message and I will send you what's available. But on this note, I hope this was inspiring to you and validating and encouraging to know that your feminine wisdom is needed in this world, and you have an immense capacity to take yourself through a rebirth, no matter what life brings to your door. And when you share your feminine light, your feminine wisdom, your capacity to see a big picture, to bring vision to your community, this planet can hold more light because of you in it. On this note, I feel complete. Thank you for being here with me.